Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Quantum Compass. Welcome to a special Easter weekend Quantum Compass and all of the energetic imprints that brings with it. My name, of course, is David.
And I'm Bella Alvaran. Welcome back.
So we're going to be looking now in this episode at the incoming Mayan Wavespell of the Blue Magnetic Hand, running from the 20th of April until the 2nd of May. We'll also be taking a look at the astrology, of course, which includes a new moon at 7 degrees of Taurus, a black Moon Lilith flashpoint, and a few other interesting conjunctions happening, including Venus meeting Saturn in the latter degrees of Pisces. But energetically speaking, this has been quite the rock and roll couple of weeks. This tale of the Jaguar, the path of the Jaguar, has been quite intense, I would suggest.
Yes, and you know what happened in this wave spell? There were rumors of seeing a mountain lion not very far from here, from where we are. And a new planet, which at least I hadn't heard about it, has been discovered in Leo, the constellation of Leo, which apparently could have potentially water, oxygen, and everything you need to sustain life. So quite a few magic things. Let us know what happened for you in the past magic wave spell of the White Wizard or the Jaguar, because magic was in the air, but it was a very tough wave spell, I have to say. The energy was up and down all the time.
Yeah, so as always, behind the scenes, we take pulses with our tribe through live calls, and for sure the feedback has pretty much been the same from everybody. Lots of tiredness, a fair amount of disillusionment in places, and people feeling like they've had enough in general of all of this, which I can definitely concur with on some levels. It's got to be tough. Yeah. So we had that very powerful full moon with the Chiron Cazimi, but also that Venus star point, which really offered us a whole array of light to work with energy to work with, for releasing, for healing, for clarity, for going deep into our wounds. So it's not that surprising. It's been a bit of an up and down kind of a week.
Besides, on that full moon of April the 12th, there was a crisscrossing. There were too many things happening at the same time, and there was a crisscrossing of timelines. We were able to access a higher timeline, and we'll talk more about it throughout the show. But we'd like to know, have you felt the switches, even from the last few weeks? On the last eclipse, the 29th of March, there was a shift, but then there was a crisscrossing of timelines on the 12th of April. And we'd like to see and hear from you. How did you experience that?
Yeah, there are many interesting energetic ideas abounding right now. And of course, as we've been saying for a while, we, the cosmic humans, or we, the creators, it's us in charge of the storyline. No longer is it easy to sit back and say somebody else is in charge of pushing the buttons and pulling the dials and all the rest of it. That may be true in some places, but essentially it's down to us and what we've been seeing and trying to understand as we have one foot in the multidimensional world of New Earth and one foot still very much in this 3D Earth experience, as many of you have been sharing with us, is it's getting a little difficult. It's like being a feet on two barges on a canal that are pulling apart from each other. There's a point where it's starting to get a little painful as that gap gets bigger, and it feels like many of us are perceiving that we're in that point. But this incoming wave spell is all about healing. So as always, we're going to offer our sort of energetic preview of what we see coming towards us as energetic patterns and frequencies, and try to make sense of how that might assist us all in this moment where I perhaps feel that healing is going to be very necessary.
Absolutely.
So let's, as always, get into our presentation for today. And if you've got this far in the video, please hit like and subscribe and comment. Going to be doing this throughout the videos. Thank you to everybody who supports us. We do appreciate it. Really do appreciate all of the comments that our dedicated followers put on the page to assist us in our ongoing discussions with the world of algorithms and AI, such as it is. So let's get into the presentation for today, Bella, and take it away.
Right, we see there the glyph for the blue hand. It's also identified in different Mayan groups as the deer, which is connected to vulnerability and healing process. But I'm going to talk more from the perspective of the blue hand and the healing connected to the arts as well. But before we go there, I found a nice little information here that I wanted to share with you, which is called the 26-second pulse of the Earth. So apparently they found quite a while ago, I think it was in the 60s, they found this pulse which happens every 26 seconds, and it's a very subtle seismic pulse that reverberates throughout the Earth. And they have found that the origin of it's here in West Africa, very close, is in all of this area where what is Equatorial Guinea. So I thought it was fascinating because 26, as you know, and I've talked a lot about this, is a fractal of the 13, the 26, the 260 days, the 26,000 year cycle. So I thought it was very relevant to bring it into our awareness and see if we can start connecting with that pulse of the Earth. What do you think about that? Had you heard about it?
I hadn't. That's super interesting. And it's also very interesting for me, the part of Africa that it's connected with, because that area of Africa, particularly Gabon, but a little bit Cameroon, is also the home of the Bwiti people, the indigenous people who carried the sacred medicine of Iboga or Ibogaine. And it's believed that that medicine was taken out of the temples by the Pygmy people from ancient Egypt and taken when Egypt fell into the rainforests of particularly Gabon, but also, I guess, Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon to some extent, where it's been growing ever since, protected by these people. So this is a very heart-centered part of the world, the ancient medicine of the wood, as they call it, the sacred African root. It is very much literally a part of the culture in Gabon. Even the leading government figures and people in office, they're all initiates into this culture. So this is a very earth-based place.
It's a medicine that is being now trying to legislate it here in the US. Some states in the US want to use this medicine, just like with the mushrooms and everything, for PTSD, addictions, and many other things. So maybe there is something here, and if you want to go and research some more and tell us in the comments, you're welcome to do so. But what I wanted to bring is the 26-second pulse as the heartbeat of the Earth. It seems very relevant, and see if you feel that resonates. What else can we kind of unfold from all of this? And the scientists, and nobody has actually come to a final conclusion. It could be coming from the waves of the ocean that resonate through the Earth's crust. It could be magma chambers oscillating with pressure fluctuations. It could be subterranean hydrothermal activity, birds, tectonic breathing, whatever it is. It could be gravitational, tidal, thermal forces, or it could be just the pulse of the Earth that is happening every 26 seconds.
And isn't it interesting? It's 26, 2 times 13 is 26.
It's exactly
from the 26th dimension.
That's exactly why I brought it, because one of the things that we're trying to do through our sharing of all of these galactic calendars or cosmology and everything that we do is about coming back to a point of harmonic resonance. And if we can reconnect to the pulse of the Earth, imagine what we could be achieving. So this is why I felt that it was very important. It came to my awareness this week during this Wavespell. So I think it wanted to show us something. And we know that the Earth is a living organism, a sentient being. And this 26-second pulse could be showing us, how can we interact with it? If we have been following machines for clocks, the 1260, maybe it's starting to give us a little window to look into a different way of calculating time, maybe to go into the spiral of the real energy of the Earth.
Right. Imagine if a minute was 52 seconds.
Something like that. We can start exploring all of those things.
Wow, what
and why this is all important is because the harmonic resonance has that point of consciousness. Our brain is connected. When we have a high Schumann resonance, it affects our nervous system, it affects our brain, and all of this resonance from the Earth also affects our brain waves and our frequency, and it's part of the training that we've been doing to be able to be grounded, to be able to lift our energy to the point of the energy of the Earth, which is the one that we should be following. The Earth is evolving with or without us. So it's up to us to get to that harmonic resonance so we can ascend with her, basically. So, and that's why I wanted to bring it, because of the connection to 13, a 13-day Wavespell, 13 moons. We have 13 articulations. There are 13 tones in a Wavespell. And then if you multiply by 2, the 26-second poles, the 260 kins, the 26,000 year cycle of the galaxy. So there are many things there. 52, if you multiply that 26 by 2, 52 weeks in a year, 52-year cycle that we connect within ours. 52-year-old is a very important birthday because it's the day of our return of the galactic signature of the glyph and the tone. And it's supposedly when you step into your mastery, into your mission. So turning 52 is very important. And we have connection to the cycle of Sirius, which is also a 52-year cycle. So there are many things here to look into, many synchronicities.
Just imagine if we lived in a world where we had 52 seconds rather than 60 and 52 minutes rather than 60 in an hour. Like maybe they'd end up being 26 hours in the day, but they would be shorter.
You guys can do the numbers.
Yeah, my brain can't do that quickly enough. I'll have to get a calculator out. But I think this is super interesting, Bella, and I think the most important thing you're saying is, of course, is the necessary attunement that we all probably need with Mother Earth as she ascends. It's not a case of us dictating to her and the sun how this is all going to happen. It's their gig, and we just happen to be lucky passengers, I guess, to participate in it. And we should probably never forget that they are the real conductors, is Mother Earth and Father Sun.
Mother Earth volunteer to have us as part of this experiment of humanity. Right. And just think of the amount of things that have happened, the amount of civilizations that have risen and fallen. And now we are so close to that shift in evolution. She's already said, okay, I've done my part. I'm ready to ascend. Now it's up to us to not to have to go through another cataclysm, through another horrible end of civilization or anything like that. We can do it consciously and do it with her.
Beautiful.
That's why I thought it was relevant. I wanted to share again this. We've been doing some work with the tribe, identifying where those glyphs are around the planet so that we all put our focus on where the energy is. And if you want to be part of this, you can also join us in our platform. We try to do some activities like the beginning of the Tzolkin. We did a whole around the planet. People were connected in the sacral sides and sacral nodes of the planet. And I wanted to mention something about that. So what I think is happening now is that around the planet, there are sacred arcs that we've been creating. So not only us, many other people have been creating these light arcs around the planet, especially on those sacral nodes, because they are the best points where you can attune yourself and find that harmonic resonance, the resonance of the planet. So, for example, during the exercise we did at the beginning of the Tzolkin, there were people that are part of our tribe and they were in Egypt or they were in Australia, in South America, North America, all over the planet. And we went to those specific nodal points to recalibrate and reconnect to the planetary mind. So this is the kind of things that I think the more we do these frequency alignments, the more that all of us can participate consciously in this evolutionary shift.
Right, and of course, as we said at the beginning, this is a biblical weekend, depending on which calendar you follow, of course, but generally for many people across the world, they're celebrating their holy weekend of Easter, which is about the resurrection of the being that we will call Jesus Christ. But really what we're looking at here is the potentiality of the incoming Christ consciousness network onto the planet. And so perhaps when we think about the second coming, and this is not to trigger anybody, we might suggest that we, the cosmic humans of the future, the evolving humans of the moment, are going to be the second coming, because the Christed consciousness is a frequency and not necessarily just an individual. So I'm thinking, Bella, that a lot of what we've been doing over the last few weeks is preparing ourselves as mobile nodal points, as mobile medbeds, as we've been talking about, carrying the frequency that we're able to channel as hollow bones, which is really a lot of what this work has been about for many of us, so that we can hold the frequency of the Christ consciousness, which probably this weekend more than any other in the calendar, in the Gregorian calendar, is in people's awarenesses. And perhaps as we come into this weekend of death, rebirth, and resurrection, What we're looking at is the resurrection of the template back to a more sixth dimensional heart consciousness, which would probably be more in alignment with Mother Earth. Let me get my tongue around that, probably Mother Earth's own frequency.
Yes, and places where you can anchor cosmic consciousness and realign with your multidimensional self. The Earth is a multidimensional being, and so are we. And the more that we can recalibrate and attune, the better that we evolve.
Well, there's no separation in that way. We can be mobile nodal points completely connected as above, so below, to the tree network, to the nature intelligence, to the quantum intelligence, and still move around in the 3D, holding both the above and the below.
And one of the things that we've been saying is there is access to new Earth now, and this anchoring of those sacred nodal points and us connecting to that, it's accessible now to expand our consciousness and access more of the information. So we have the tools to move forward in this incredible shift that is happening. It's not going to happen, it's already happening.
We're in it.
Yes. So this is a little bit more that I've shared. Part of getting back into the harmonic resonance is this connection to time as a wave and as a frequency of 1320, so that our mind finds, again, synchronicity and alignment. And what I've been saying also a lot is that this shift, this evolutionary shift, is all about our vibration. Each one of us has the key to ascend, to get the new Earth to manifest more fully. And here I was in a session with one of the people from the tribe that came for a session, and we were talking about how where we put our focus is where things and where reality will manifest. If you think of the wave and the particle, for it to become a particle, the quantum principle is that you put your focus on it. So the more of us that are putting the focus into the new Earth and the new way of living that we all want, so that we all thrive, the children are safe, that there is a new different system of financial system, health system, education system, you name it, where it's more fair and we all benefit from it, the more that is going to manifest, because it has to once we put our focus on it.
Right, and we've been saying this for a while, but many of us are finding it's harder to remember what day of the week it is. Every day is sort of beginning to feel a bit like a Friday somehow, and losing track of the days of the week and the dates in general. And so we've been sharing for a while that, I generally have these days no idea what day of the week it is, but I can tell you what day in a Wavespell it is and what glyph it is. And that's become more the predominant factor that we're living each day by, rather than a Gregorian calendar. And yes, we have a vested interest. We've been living like this for a while and sharing this work for a while, but also as the 1260 calendar itself and the reason it was set up becomes less necessary in our world, particularly if there is a quantum wealth abundance and distribution of wealth in general, then there's not going to be any taxation, which is what this calendar was set up for. So we are very much better, I think, in this transition moment of many people feeling one foot in maybe a 1320 and another in 1260, or in multidimensional and 3D. All of these slightly sort of feelings that we're veering between, I think, are part of the dissolution of time as we know it.
Yep. So I also wanted to add a little bit more here about the spiral and the golden mean, because it all connects to what we're talking about. Time is non-linear. Time is in the form of the wave and the golden mean ratio. And we can find this in the Fibonacci sequence, or the golden mean ratio, which we've talked about, is part of nature, is part of us, us as humans. We're designed from the moment we start in the womb, in our mother's womb, everything is in the form of a spiral. That's the way we evolve. And the biological impact that all of this has in our DNA activation, our consciousness fields, they're all in this shape. So that's why I like to bring it every now and again to our awareness, to connect more, so that it is kind of here in our consciousness. Music is also, it has a similar alignment. Our DNA I already mentioned, but consciousness is the one, is like a map that it helps us to access the cosmos as well, through the same geometry and principle.
Beautiful.
A reminder, we're still in the blue storm, blue rhythmic storm year, which ends on July 24th. So if I had to do any kind of prediction, I would say that by this time, by July, it would be the end of the very stormy process that we're going through, at least the most catalyzing. And why did we need this catalyzer? Because it's the way to move the energy, to get many people out of the comfort zone, to get people to do their inner work, and to get the energy of the earth as well to move. So think of the amount of solar flares we are receiving, the amount of earthquakes that are happening around the planet. This is all part of the stormy process for final transformation.
And just again to be clear, this is the lunar year. Sometimes people get a little confused between the solar Tzolkin and the lunar year, which the lunar year is always the same, right, Bella? It's always going to be running from the 26th to the 24th, for the day at a time on the 25th. So looks as though we still have, where are we now? Coming into May, June. We still have a couple of months, maybe into the second castle of this Tzolkin, right?
So you're right. It's a 13 moon process. We're right now in the 10th moon, the planetary moon, and I'll talk about it in a minute. So in this calendar of 13 moons, all of the moons have the same amount of days, 28 days, 7-day weeks, and it's so perfect with just one day out of time, which is usually the 25th of July. And I think that by that time, we should be through the worst of the process. But it does require, especially this Wavespell, we want to emphasize that there is so much resistance from the collective, and the only way to move forward is for us to be willing to do our final part of the healing process, or the lessons that we have learned, and what do we need to let go of finally, so that we all shift.
Yeah, I mean, on this note, one of the things that's become more and more apparent in the collective is the sense of resistance. And it's like we're so used to being able to kick the can down the road and to duck out for 2 days a week and take time off and just basically keep pushing things, because our society taught us that that's what governments do, that they promise one thing and then don't do anything. So we've got very used to that mentality. But with the recent compressions and jumps that we've had, we're not in that kind of cuboid of the universe anymore. And so the resistance is futile. Surrender is the only way, because the light that is coming onto the planet through the photon belt, through the solar flares, is only increasing. There isn't any obvious let up that this is going to die off anytime soon. We get little lulls in between the big compression points. But if we think about the birth contractions, the birthing process, as the literal birth is getting closer to the moment that it happens, the contractions get quicker and closer to each other, right? And I would suggest that we're very much in the process of the final contractions before maybe the head pops out into the new earth, into the new sunlight, and sees reality or a new reality for the first time. And so definitely I felt this week that process around the full moon of the expansion energy, but then also like constriction, almost physically uncomfortable, but not necessarily of any physical pains, but a sense of being squeezed. So yeah, I think that this is an important point as we move through this next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and this is being the planetary moon of manifestation. I feel this is the moon where most of the things that have to show us the changes that we're going to be seeing in the world will happen. So we've seen the changes in the global economy and trading, the changes that are coming for education, the changes that are coming for currencies, changes in medicine, because now we have more quantum computers and many other things that are going to change that. People wanting to go back to the original way of healing, which is plants. So all of those things are now being revealed and shown. And I feel these next few days, the beginning of this Wavespell, is going to show us even more. That is going to shake people and make them move into the next phase.
So with it being the planetary moon of manifestation, Bella, with everything that we're talking about, how do you think that plays out during this particular lunar month in this lunar year of the storm? I mean, so what are this is the moon of the manifestation of the storm, or what the storm represents. Would you understand it like that?
What the storm is showing us, that is, it needs changing, that is catalyzing, so that we see and allow the new to be shown. So we've already been seeing a lot of that in the news and in the different groups that we follow. So many changes are coming to us, and we want everybody to start thinking of that there are good solutions out there.
Yeah.
And each one of us has a voice, or at least if we put that intention into the planetary mind, it gets gathered into the collective consciousness so that more people are actually making that manifest. Remember the particle and the wave, where you put your focus, that is what is going to manifest.
Right. And as we can see, this moon finishes on Beltane on the 1st of May. So basically, this I would suggest catalyzing in many ways, manifesting of the catalyzing energy is going to play out during this particular wave spell because it kind of basically runs concurrently.
And so we still have this energy of unconditional love and compassion, with the totem being the dog. So that's it for the 13 moon calendar. Let's go now into the 260-day cycle, or Tzolkin. And so for those of you that are new, the 260-day cycle we call the sacred round, and it's a perfect way of connecting with celestial harmonics, and it has 260 days, 20 wave spells of 13 days each. Right now we're in the third wave spell, and I'll show that in the castle in a minute. And what we like to do here is to start to get people to think about that there is a natural way of living, that it reconnects us not only to Mother Earth, to the cycles of the Earth, but also to the cosmic cycles. And that is the synchronization of the 13 moons and the sacred round. The 1320 is represented in our body, on our fingers, toes, and articulations. And when you think about the 20 plus 13, if you add them up, then we get 33, which is the 33 spine connections that we have.
Wow.
The 4 directions are also very important. The 4 colors. We're going into a wave spell. There is a blue one, and it's all about transformation. But for that, we need to do the healing. So we're here. We just started the Red Castle recently on the 25th of March. We've done the wave spell of the dragon, which was the beginning, the primal force to start this cycle. We are completing now the White Wizard or Jaguar wave spell, which was about the magic and being able to be like a shaman, to see amongst all of this information and amongst all of these ups and downs of energy, and to be able to navigate. And now we've come to a point of healing with the blue hand, the third wave spell of this Tzolkin. So we're starting here on Kin 27 or day 27, and it runs through to day 39, which is the last day of that wave spell.
Wow, I'm just making lots of notes. There's so many layers here, whether it's the initiation energy of the first castle, whether it's the working with the dragons, and then the cats, which in itself from the stellar nations is a lot about balancing of free will and divine will. But now we're going into this energy of healing, which is also transformational. It's a blue glyph, but it's still in the initiatory phase of the red castle, but it's still working with the energy of the blue rhythmic storm. So if we put all of those factors together, it says to me that this is a very big pow moment.
And it's also, as you can see, there are so many layers that we talk about, and we haven't even gone into the astrology.
Right.
But it's a way of reconnecting to our multidimensionality. We can access so much information once you're centered and you know what you're looking at. There are ways of doing this, and following a wave spell expands time as well, and you can focus your energy more fully into what is relevant. So this wave spell running from April 20th up to May the 2nd.
May the 2nd, yeah.
We have the glyphs here. The highlighting didn't come out there. So it's the wave spell of the blue magnetic hand. Magnetic means number 1, I mean the first energy that comes into the wave spell. And this is the time for healing and art. art as a way of healing and therapy would be the best thing that we can do over these 13 days. And also to be willing to heal whatever we haven't healed up to now. We all have something that we've been resistant because it's painful, because you don't want to bring it up, because it affects whatever it is. This is the opportunity to bring anything that is still painful or a lesson that we haven't integrated out to the surface for final healing, for closure, and to use our hands for this kind of healing is amazing. So if you're into painting, sculpting, gardening, something with your hands would be very beneficial. Any kind of crafts, use your creativity during this point. The shadow that could come up over these 13 days could be to do with overload and overwhelm. It could be because of the amount of information coming out, or because the energy that is within the earth now, with the amount of solar flares, is kind of bringing everything to the surface. That's why it's better to not resist, but to flow with this energy of final release. The other part of the shadow could be not to complete things, to procrastinate too much, to feel inadequate, to become too scattered with too many things. Focus on one thing, but finish that thing that you want to do. Also, to give your power to external tools. Let's say you go to AI and you ask the answers when you could be using your intuition, or to give your tool, your energy or your power to something else. It should come from inside, from yourself, this final part of the process. Lack of commitment is another part of the shadow. And for transformation, besides art, I would say definitely complete what you start, find resolution to things, bring anything. If you have still some issue, some conflict to resolve, absolutely the best Wavespell to deal with things now. Be aware of the resistances and the distractions. You'll get to see resistance from people as well. So here's where you want to be very centered and do your own inner work. Enjoy every step of this way. Commit to do this final bit and to become the tool of the light, to be an instrument that the divine, God, source energy, however you want to call it, actually brings and touches people's lives. It could be a smile, it could be a hug that you give to somebody. That could bring a lot of healing into space.
Wow, it's all there, isn't it? The overload, overwhelm, feeling pressured, not being able to accomplish things, finish things. I think many people are already in that energy.
Feeling scattered.
Feeling scattered. We were just saying even before we hit record, it's got a little harder sometimes to hold coherent thoughts at length. Sometimes they're there with you and then they've just slipped away and you are struggling to recall. I would suggest, Bella, that maybe has been a lot about the dissolution of the veil. I've definitely felt the energetic shift since Neptune moved into Aries. That's been a big energy of this week. But all of these things you bring up here, I think this is exactly where we're at, right? In the collective process is so much power is given away to external tools. We've rapidly become a society that outsources our experiences even to AI. I don't need to experience what it's like to do a plant diet, for example. I'll just get AI to imagine it for me, and then I'll just take the readings. These are the sorts of things that are starting to pop up in our world. And of course, with the rise of technology, many aspects of human existence are being replaced in many different ways. Not least of all, even human interaction. So these are all things that are perhaps drawing us back into the energy of the weekend we're in, which is again of the heart consciousness and how the unconditional love of the sixth dimensional Christed consciousness can actually help us overcome these things. It can bring the balance back into our life, just to rise above these seemingly difficult situations, remind ourselves it's all just part of the experiment, part of the sim.
And here, when we talk about the tools, I mean, there are many things that are useful. Astrology is useful, the Taurus useful, the crystals, the plants. There are many tools, but it's actually about not giving our power to the tools. It's actually our higher self and ourselves working through these tools. It's not the tools that do the work for us. So there's where we want to put the focus on this specific Wavespell. And what we recommend to do over the 13 days is to have a purpose, and hopefully that purpose is connected to your final healing. What is the biggest healing? What is your biggest core wound that you could bring here and finally liberate yourself from that?
Right, so this is perhaps just a quick opportunity to give our Starseed Alliance YouTube membership program a quick plug, because as we've been doing throughout this current wave spell, we've been giving more detailed information on the daily glyph readings. We're not going to be doing the same every wave spell in the YouTube membership, but for those people who sign up for just $9.99 a month, you get access to additional content, more coordinates, more deep dives into the various different energetic patterns approaching us. And so please do check that out. You can join up fairly easily here on the YouTube page.
Good. And so that's it for the wave spell. I'd say it's a very important one. And if you want to learn more about how to follow a wave spell, the energy of each day, how to integrate and go through different dimensions, learning about sacred geometry and much more, the Navigation Guide to Quantum Consciousness is a really good course to learn to do all of those things.
Yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a navigation guide to quantum consciousness, the 13 steps of the ascension ladder. Probably, Bella, one of the most profound courses I think I've ever done to participate in.
And also, if you want to learn more about the Mayan time and magic, we have this course available also on the platform. Okay.
Right, so thank you, Bella, for all of that. I think that the motif is clear when we layer in the various different coordinates from the Mayan time codes and the moment that we're in. We're coming to this sort of healing moment that is necessary, as my friend and brother Pete said on Web of Weird call that we were doing this morning. It feels a bit like that moment when you're in a sacred plant ceremony and the medicine's starting to come on, and you know that you're going to have to be sick and you don't really want to, and you need to purge out and release. And it feels a bit like we're coming into that moment where it's like, I definitely feeling like I want it out rather than still in. And so I find it interesting, Bella, that with that in mind, we have here on April the 23rd, the first major thing that kicks in this way spell is a Bakal Vatan prophecy day.
But also today, as we're recording, is another Bakal Vatan day.
Yes, it is.
It's actually a Quetzalcoatl day, meaning the energy of Quetzalcoatl and Venus as an energy happens today, which is the 19th when we're recording, and also on the 23rd we have another one coming up.
Right, so we were actually just talking about this in our flying school call yesterday, trying to find the correlations between the first three glyphs in the Quetzalcoatl Pakal Vatan prophecy days. The first one being the resonant sun, the second one today being the cosmic world bridger, which I think is incredibly interesting on this Easter weekend. Essentially, I think that's what Jesus was up to. He was cosmically bridging the world, right, and bringing the information back. So something interesting there. And then very quickly, we have this third one, which is the white self-existing dog. Which again speaks to me of the heart consciousness energy. So don't you think it's interesting, Bella, that just 4 days into this healing wave spell in this particular cycle with the Tzolkin, we have the white self-existing dog to reflect on?
Sure, and it's the best energy for healing. It's having a compassionate heart and unconditional love towards everybody, which is not always easy, but is more of the place where we should be living from.
Right, and it's a tone 4, so it's self-existing, which means it's also about creating structure. So what I would like to suggest is that as we enter into this healing wave spell is to let all resistance to whatever needs to come up and out just fall away. Often it's the resistance that causes the most suffering, I think, in healing processes. And to enter into the space on day 4 of this healing space and say, I'm going to set a container for myself that is based on the Christ consciousness energy of the heart in this healing spell, and to bring the energy of this weekend of the world bridging cosmic energies into play as we move forward into this healing wave spell. So I wanted to alert that we haven't cracked the code. That's something that we're looking at currently in our tribe and ongoing, because these are something that were brought through as prophecies that happened as part of a timeline delta. And we definitely feel that we're into the culmination of many timelines. So we're interested to see why these are being highlighted, because they suggest perhaps days of significance that happened in Pakal Vatan's life that may somehow mirror something going on in our life. So I thought it was interesting in this time continuum that we're in, Bella, to see that the resonant sun came up on the day of the Kazemi. So I'm like, okay, that's a pretty potent start. That was a very, very strong weekend. I definitely felt the energy very strongly for 3 days, very multi-dimensional, very sort of illusory, veil-esque in its own way. And then today we've got this cosmic world bridging energy on a weekend of death, rebirth, and resurrection. So I think we can start to see some of the clues maybe, and then we're moving into a healing wave spell where we might be bringing back some of that necessary heart energy and putting it into a structure that we can heal with.
And as again, back to the quantum principle, when enough people are paying attention to something is when it gets revealed and we get to manifest it. So those 13 glyphs were left on the tomb of Pakalbotan, and those are called the Quetzalcoatl glyphs.
Quetzalcoatl glyphs, okay. I've got a better name. I've been struggling for a name for them. So, but then what's really, I think, really interesting is that the following day, immediately after this sort of this clue day, this Quetzalcoatl day, we have Venus conjuncting Saturn. This is one of the bigger astrological transits. In a way, spell where I have to suggest I wasn't feeling the energy of the planet, which we'll come to in a minute, as much as I have done in previous wave spells. But we have Venus conjuncting Saturn here at 27 degrees. I know that you're going to be talking a little bit more about Venus. Do you want to add anything now, Bella, or save it to
No, I'll save it for. Okay. I'm going to just talk about Venus for a while.
So yeah, there have been these ongoing discussions, mostly with Mercury and Venus ducking backwards and forwards over the sort of the new Earth, old paradigm timeline that we could sort of arbitrarily are saying in the Western astrology is the Pisces, Aries, endings and beginnings of the zodiac, which I think fits many motifs. Neptune has just crossed over into Aries for the first time in our lifetime and has immediately caused some new astrological transits. There was a conjunction with Mercury in the first degree just a few days ago, and then Neptune was trining Mars. These are all first. We've never had these experiences with Neptune and Aries before. So this is all new territory when we think about it like that. But most of all, what I've been experiencing is the sense perhaps of Neptune, a being that I definitely relate to quite a lot, being Piscean rising, is a sense of like, oh my gosh, like what just happened to the world that I was in? I'm in a new world, a world where I'm not the king of the watery underworld anymore, but I'm suddenly in a land of bright light and fire, which would be more like Aries.
And I think it's important to highlight that the last time that Neptune was in Aries was 164 years ago at the time of the Civil War in the US. So many big changes. It doesn't mean that we have to go into that space, because hopefully many of us have done a lot of work so that we can lift the energy and something does get created without the need of that energy that is happening now that is going to be happening between Mars opposing Pluto, which is a very difficult energy. I think it's going to require many of us bringing our attention to a moment of healing during the next 13 days so that things don't escalate and we can create a new world without the need of wars and everything else that we've been experiencing for too long now.
Agreed. So with that in mind, Venus meeting Saturn again in Pisces feels a bit like the goddess came back to wrap a sort of arm around, well, we could say pops rather. I'm not sure the relationship between Venus and Saturn in this way, but to say, hey, it's okay, old man. I've already been over the other side of the veil and it's looking pretty good and you have nothing to worry about. There's still going to be a role for you. There's still going to be a place for you. As Uncle Neptune's just found out, it's not that bad. It's momentarily disorientating. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. But hey, you know, all new things have that element. And so I feel that this is Venus kind of giving some of that heart energy to Saturn, who's been through a hell of a journey in Pisces and is now getting ready also for a new beginning, which I'm really happy for him. And this actually has led us to a conversation in our house, right, Bella, over the last few weeks of contemplating what happens when planets, the sentient beings that are planets or the consciousness of planets move into a different evolutionary space. Do we still treat them in the same way? It's a bit like saying, hey, do I still imagine myself as the same person I was 20 years ago? Or do I live from the place that I am now? And I'm wondering whether the planets are going through a similar process.
Well, my theory is that at this point, the evolution is not just for the planet, it's not just for humans, it's for the animals, for the plants, and the other planets in the solar system as well. So I think we're going to see astrology needs to change and evolve as well together with everything that is going on, and the planets will show us the higher octaves, just like we're going to be living from a higher point, from a more 5D way of being, from the heart. Also, the planets are going to change the information that project to us now. So I think this is part of the process.
Right, so just looking further ahead and just giving the benchmarks, Venus actually enters Aries at the end of the month on the last day of the month, and then on the very last day of the Wavespell conjuncts with Uncle Neptune in that first degree of Aries. So we'll come to Venus a bit more in a second because Bella's prepared a slide for that. But I'm just going to jump ahead here to April the 26th. Mars at 3 degrees of Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius. I think for many people, both the date of Easter Sunday, the 20th, and April the 26th are quite heavily in people's awareness for a variety of reasons, it definitely feels a bit like, well, we are already in the energy. It's still coming into a tighter opposition, but Mars and Pluto are a bit like head to head. Yes, thank you, Bella, for pointing that out. Day 13 is meant to say May the 2nd. My apologies, that's a typo there for anyone wondering how come time was already looping on our presentations. That's meant to be May the 2nd. But I think this is important, Bella, this Mars in opposition to Pluto. Mars in Leo feels like it wants to get going. It's full of charisma and joie de vivre and get up and go. And then
Do you have the chart?
not for this one. But what I'm going to do is bring it across here, and we can see this is the chart for the new moon, and you can see already here Pluto is or basically in an opposition on the new moon in Taurus. So these energies are already at work. We have the new moon there at 7:46 in Taurus, and is kind of also in an interesting opposition to Black Moon Lilith, which I'll come to in a minute. But I found this quite a difficult new moon to tune into, Bella. I have to be honest. Like the astrology for this particular Wavespell didn't do what it normally does and grab me and pull me into it, which I'm wondering is perhaps part of what we were just talking about, is maybe the dissolution of astrology as we know it is perhaps going through its own transformational process. So what I can say, new moon in Taurus speaks to me of return to the earth, of perhaps even new abundance coming in, new earthly abundance, maybe a different way of viewing abundance, which is definitely something that's on many people's minds.
I'd say also a new way of connecting to Mother Earth.
Yes.
Not seeing it just as resources, but as a mother, as a being we don't see our mother as a resource. So we shouldn't be doing the same with the earth either.
Right. And this is an interesting topic of discussion moving forwards into the new Earth motif, especially about how we work with resources on planet Earth. From what we have seen, the idea of extraction in new Earth is definitely not on the table, despite what anyone might be saying. That's not part of the plan moving forwards. In fact, the repairing of a lot of extraction work in the Earth is something that is very much on the table etherically. So maybe, Bella, what we're looking at here also as the asteroid Manawydan or Manannan is basically now caught up to Mercury there in Aries. I think there's another discussion going on here, which is like, how is the project of the dissolution of the veil going on? Well, that is now entering into its final sort of 20-day process, given the benchmarks that we were given by Manannan. So I think that it feels like we're now into a 20-day process, más o menos, of the dissolution of the veil, which perhaps would coincide with the need for healing, a return to the earth, a return to simplicity, and perhaps real connections that are based on what our feet are connected to.
Connection to the earth, yes,
Yeah.
grounding.
Grounding.
And going back to the plants as well.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention that if we take into account the Black Moon Lilith, there is that Grand Cross as well. So it would be the new moon, Mars opposing Pluto, and then the Black Moon Lilith. And that is a lot of volatility. The possibility of fear is coming up. The shadow probably coming for the last review, which all fits with the blue hand. So probably we're going to be in a point of hashtag forced evolution, which is even if we don't want to, the shadow needs to come out, and resistance is not going to help. That's why it's better if we flow and we actually bring it into the surface ourselves and do our inner healing using arts and many other things. But it feels like it could be very emotional in general for the collective.
Yeah, well spotted, Bella. That is a grand cross, right, with the Black Moon Lilith energy, which weirdly, when I was looking for the Black Moon Lilith flashpoints this month, I just knocked the astro calendar on literally one day, and it hit the Black Moon Lilith exactly one day later, to the minute. I didn't have to do any further adjustments, and so we have a Black Moon Lilith flashpoint at 3 degrees 39 of Scorpio, so very much in play on that new moon, as well, as Bella just said. But this is an interesting, I think, side reflection, Bella, that is going on. Yes, we have a Black Moon Lilith flashpoint that we can work with as a mini portal point, but gone.
But also that Black Moon Lilith is telling us, bring out everything that you're even ashamed of, because it's your dark side, and it could be with control, with manipulation, with betrayal, with jealousy, with all of the things that we need to bring out connected to Black Moon Lilith, so we can give it the final transformation. The other thing is that this is the third time that the Mars and Pluto actually oppose each other. So this is the third time, and we've had enough to prepare for it. And this is the final break point, it feels like, where everything comes to the surface, and we can finally alchemize this.
Right, so I'm just going to bounce back again to this slide. So if we have the new moon, which we can consider an intentional access point to put intentions, what we can do also with these Black Moon Lilith flashpoints is have an immediate response.
Yeah.
That is what these offer us. They're almost like a mobile full moon point that we can send and receive information, which means that, normally we put an intention out on the new moon and we have to wait to the full moon for it to come back. Well, these Black Moon Lilith flashpoints, within reason, obviously, there are certain things that sometimes need a little longer to manifest, but sometimes what we've seen, and this has worked for us many times, is that we can, I don't want to use the word short circuit because that's wrong, and there isn't any need to short circuit anything, but sometimes there is a need for a quick intention to manifest. Sometimes to do with collective processes. So I find it very interesting, but it's exactly 24 hours to the minute later than the new moon. So if we go back to this, we can see that what you're saying is that the moon and sun
cross. Yes. So I think what is telling us is this is our opportunity for a breakthrough.
Yes.
For that final catalyzing moment, and there could be life-changing opportunities here if we're willing to show up and do this final part of the healing. So that's why we encourage lots of you to go on, rather than resist, what you resist persists.
Yeah.
So just be willing to let go and get to a point of surrender of whatever you have in your heart that is weighing you down, or that deep core wound that you haven't been able to express or bring to the surface. Highly encourage you all to do that final bit. And if you need help or support, we have a big tribe, and we put lots of things out there to try to help people or give them tools to get to be their inner shaman, but also to be able to step up and move forward with their evolutionary process.
Well, maybe this is a good moment just to share also that for the entirety of this Blue Hand Wavespell, myself and Bella are offering 25% off for activating the Grail Within healing package. You get to have two personal sessions for 2 hours, one with me and then with Bella, where we go into your field. We clear the field, remove anything that's not serving you, anything that's perhaps is not able to be seen in the non-physical world. And then there's a process of release work, Bella, with biodecoding. And at the end, a mind glyph empowerment and activation, which is incredibly...
I'm also adding a little bit about the Venus star point, because it gives us so much information. So I'm adding that as part of the sessions now.
Right, and also in the sessions that I've been doing, I've been pulling up people's astrology charts and working with that and the mind glyph to really be able to see people. I've been finding, Bella, that this year, that just by feeling into the energies of all of the things we know about the astrology, connecting at a heart level with a client, and then also reading the mind glyph really allows me to see the essence of the person at the soul level so much more easily. So I just putting that out there. If you're interested, please do email us directly. But yeah, I think that as we move on to the other slides, Bella, I think that this break point here on the new moon is we're already in the energy. It's being brought to us. It's on day 8, so it's the integration of the cat energy, which in itself, if we think about the dragon Wavespell, the wizard, is the harmonization of the dragon and cat, divine will, free will, masculine, feminine, yin and yang energies into a place of harmony, which is absolutely essential for healing. If those energies are not balanced, then healing is going to be more tricksy. So I think that if we try to sum this up, we've got this breaking point between Mars and Pluto, those sort of agents of change, but also Black Moon Lilith hovering around the Shapley attractor in Scorpio, but also conjunct Maya tells me of big rebirths, particularly maybe around the ideas of sacred masculinity, sacred femininity, about old scores that maybe one side doesn't feel is settled. And I think in all of the old debates, I think everyone still feels that they still have something to come back to them from the debate. But I would suggest, Bella, this is a time to let everything go. It's like whatever the arguments of the past were, whatever the blame, finger pointing, I think we're past that point now.
So I think besides the energy of the totem, which is the dog bringing us to our heart and supporting with loving energy, we have that trine between Mars and Neptune, which is also about like be more courageous and move forward with your spiritual work. It's going to hopefully make that energy of the opposition of Pluto and Mars a little softer. So we have that opportunity to evolve the yang energy, the masculine energy, so that it understands that it needs to be more spiritual and in balance and harmony with Venus. So a balance of masculine and feminine and a more spiritual outlook.
Right, and of course, this will probably be going on for some time with these being slower moving planets, but Neptune and Pluto are now coming into a tight sextile, so they're supporting each other. So in many ways, the more Aquarian Pluto energy now is supporting Neptune's new arrival in new Earth and into the fire sign of Aries, which is probably not a natural habitat for Neptune to exist in. So this is a very powerful chart. There are bits and pieces for those of you out there to take a snapshot and have a look at, and we've just given a little bit of information about Black Moon Lilith. I think in general, Bella, what caught my eye about this one was just the fact that it's happening on that sort of interesting 2-3 degree point of Scorpio with the Shapley attract. Also with Fumea really promoting the idea of fertility, of rebirth, of mass rebirth, we can say, maybe even
Mass awakening.
Mass awakening, thank you, societal rebirth. So I find this a combustible couple of days, energetically speaking, but I think it's necessary combustibility. And it's like, okay, sometimes you just have to blow some stuff up for it to be able to be released.
Also, it could be that this is the wave spell where you get to be the healer that you've been training to be, because many people might need it. So step up if you've done your Reiki training, your whatever type of training that you've done, it may be the moment to step up and do exactly that.
Right, and also I'm just seeing on the same moment, perhaps we can say supporting that process, the moon is splitting the energies of Uranus and Quetzalcoatl, the asteroid, directly opposing Juno there in Scorpio also. So this suggests to me, here we have it at 26 degrees of Taurus, we have Uranus, and then in opposition on the opposite side in Scorpio, we have Juno. So it perhaps says to me that this is also still a time when the heart, relationships, commitment are under the spotlight. Maybe decisions are being made. Maybe people are coming to face some truths. Maybe things are dissolving and it's time to let go of certain things.
Yep.
So
and you want to do it with love,
do it with
compassion,
love, right?
yeah.
So, talking of which,
Yeah, so since I've been mentioning, I'm very much into the whole Venus cycle and information more and more. So I wanted to give a brief summary of what's been happening with Venus. So on the 13th of April, we know that she went stationary direct. So it's like the rebirth of the process of Venus for 40 days in the underworld, doing our reflection and our changes and everything. So now we can move forward with new ideas, new likes, new appreciation of what and who we love. So our decisions Venus can help us make those decisions if we are connecting with these with the Venus energy in our lives. The 17th of April, Venus trines Mars, so it's more of this fire energy in harmony and balance. Hopefully, we'll bring more of that into the relationships. So where there is still a spark, that can continue because you have reviewed what works and what doesn't work for you anymore. On the 20th of April, there is more clarity on love and creative goals and finances as Venus conjuncts the North Node at 25 degrees of Pisces. On the 25th of April, more of that clarity and commitment when it comes to investments as Venus conjuncts Saturn. So new ways of moving forward and bringing new structures. That happens at 17 of Pisces and is the second time. But this time Venus is direct. So the energy of Venus and Saturn together is more conducive to put things together and to commit to the new ideas and plans. On the 30th of April, Venus enters Aries at 0 degrees. So this is another big move where she's coming back. She's already told everybody what the plan is, and she's coming back to join the big planet Neptune, which is already in Aries. And it's like, okay, all systems go. I'd say from the 30th of April, be ready to be courageous, to bring some of those ideas, what is going to give you more freedom, more independence, more of the things that you love to do. And so pay attention to which houses are being activated on your chart with these transits of Venus. And what is it that you truly want to do moving forward? Because the more we put that sensation of what it gives us passion, the more that the collective field gets infused with that and the more heart energy we put out there.
right, it definitely feels as if we are now being led through this process by the goddess, by the heart energy, the Christ consciousness, Yeshua and Sophia principles, as embodied really by Venus in our skies, right, Bella?
Yeah.
Hmm. So this brings us to a couple of plans for the wave spell. We've been talking a lot about silver in our tribe and our household recently. So just wanted to introduce a couple of plants. One of them is one that I used to love seeing around this time of year in the fields and hedgerows of Wales, which is a plant called silverweed. Perhaps not necessarily one of the most well-known ones, but I wanted to bring in some plants, Bella, that have got this quality of the silver, which we'll get into in a second. The wormwood we'll come to, but just wanted to bring this plant silverweed into people's awareness. It grows freely and wildly. It is considered to be something of a weed, of course, by most people, but it's called Potentilla anserina, and it was used by Native American tribes to treat a variety of ailments, including sore throats, stomachs, and diarrhea, which is something I've heard quite a bit of people complaining of recently. I mean, there are many plants that will treat many of these things. But it was also used originally by European herbalists to treat wounds, fever, and digestive disorders. Again, digestive disorders, something that's been coming up a lot for people recently. It has many other properties too, including anti-inflammatory, astringent, diuretic properties to treat diarrhea, sore throats, and urinary tracts infections. The leaves and roots of the plant are used to make a tea, which is said to have a calming effect and can help with insomnia and anxiety. This is really what was catching my eye about this plant, Bella, along with its protective qualities, which I'll come to in a minute. But I think we're at a time when soothing plants, calming plants, also the chamomiles, the valerians, even the mugwort, maybe to assist in sleep, because many people are finding it difficult to get decent sleep, if at all if any sleep at all, in fact. So but silverweed has also been used in folklore and traditional medicine for centuries, and in some cultures, the plant is associated with healing and protection and was used in rituals and ceremonies as such. In European folklore, the plant was said to be associated with fairies and was used to ward off evil spirits and attract good luck in love and many affairs. In some modern and pagan Wiccan traditions, silverweed is still used in spiritual, and the text has got cut off there, and healing ceremonies is what it said. So
do you use the leaves?
You use the leaves, yes. Again, I would suggest the easiest way is just to forage this wild. It's a fairly easy plant to spot. It does have this kind of beautiful silvery glow that catches the sunlight, and make yourself a tea from this. Whether you want to use this in conjunction with another old favorite, this is a plant that we've talked about a lot, our friend Wormwood Artemisia absinthium, but it very much is again a plant at the moment, incredibly powerful, known for its anti-parasitic properties, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial, and has worked well in reducing the effects of the so-called offered medications, of course, being somewhat linked to the medicine ivermectin. But most of all, this plant enhances the third eye and is good for astral projection work, journeying, and having more lucid dreams, which as we move through this process, Bella, and this sort of idea of the veil dissolving, and us entering into a more sort of astral 4D permanent experience, as one of our students called it, a more sort of mushroom fungi kind of a world. Plants like the Artemisias are very, very good at perhaps creating the bridge. We could even say that they are kind of world bridges in some way to connect us from the very sort of 3D waking state that most people are in to the more altered state of the non-physical world, which isn't really altered at all. It's just us changing the dial or the filter slightly. So we've been telling people for a long time, we're suggesting to people rather that working with wormwood is good to reduce parasitic energies, toxicities from particularly the last 3 or 4 years, but is also really good for helping us to see beyond the veil, and most of all, get comfortable with seeing beyond the veil, because many people think that sounds really cool and they want to see all kinds of stuff, but the truth is it's not always as pleasant as you might think. So what this plant really helps do is cleanse your field and helps your third eye to see carefully.
And being the wave spell of the blue hand, a detox for our physical body is super important. So wormwood, horsetail, and dandelion, highly recommended as well for this wave spell and detox. Detox of our emotional part. You can journal, you can do a liberation letter. If you have somebody you feel confident talking to, so that things, because it's when we put conscious awareness on what the issues are that they are finally like released. So you need to put the conscious awareness and find a way to alchemize things. So it's a perfect moment to do physical, mental, emotional, full detox.
Right, so yeah, thank you, Bella, for mentioning those other plants. I'll put them here, dandelion and horsetail. We are actually preparing some new material around these 3 plants as a sort of a an essential, easy,
Newbie.
yeah, an essential ascension. We can even say survival kit. These three plants, as far as we are concerned, there are many plants we could work with. There are others, really interesting new ones coming into awareness. A plant that's just entered mine is called Cryptolepis, a very interesting plant that is used in healing Lyme's disease, which is something also that Wormwood is good at working with, sort of anti-parasitic intelligences that hide in our systems. Very, very futuristic in many ways, but the more that you get into this kind of material and leave your belief systems at the door, the more we're being encouraged to think about these things and to help release them. And, you know, whatever it is that we're being afflicted by, we can have a conversation with it. We can ask it, is it willing to be released gently from our system? Perhaps it doesn't want to be doing the things in our system that it's been programmed to do. Maybe it also wants to be released from something. And certainly I found recently, Bella, dialoguing with some of these intelligences in clients' fields has brought the most incredible results. And sometimes plants like wormwood or horse tallow dandelion can just ease the passing out or the releasing of some of those things that don't serve us anymore. So those are the two plants that just wanted to put into people's awareness for this wave spell. Generally recommend wormwood anyway. But really just wanted to introduce the medicine that we're going to be working with predominantly during the blue hand wave spell, which is silver. So we are going to be working in this case with the energy of colloidal silver, but overall what we're really calling in is the magic and healing qualities of silver, which of course is very connected to the moon, very connected to Venus, very connected to, in fact, the Artemisia plants and quite a few other things. So I just wanted to give this as a very quick overview, Bella, to invite people into the world of the energy of silver. And it kind of goes very well in many ways with the plants that we were just talking about. This is a material or an intelligence, let's perhaps think of it more like that, is very good at shielding against negative energies and spirits, especially vampiric ones. So perhaps this is encouraging us to hold a firm boundary on our space, perhaps while there might be a collective releasing process. Sometimes in the place of healing, there is a moment of purge and there's a lot of stuff flying around before it's finally transmuted properly by the medicine man or woman. And perhaps if that's not being done in a controlled way, we might want some additional protection. So silver is really offering that. She is an embodiment of the goddess and the yin lunar energies, which is a really beautiful counterpoise to the very, I would say, beautiful, harmonious energy that our more yang sun is giving us at the moment, right? So go on.
I want to say that my belief at this point is that the more that we connect with the consciousness of silver, the more we will reconnect to the abundance of the planet for everybody. We don't need to extract all of the silver from the ground, but the more we connect to that consciousness, the more we can co-create a world that is more abundant for everybody. And I hope many of you that are more into the metals and the crypto and many other things see that there is a quantum system that is waiting for us to connect to through our consciousness so that it gets fully activated.
Right,
and silver is key.
Yeah, we have a genuine belief that silver is going to be a major player in the transformation of our world for lots of different reasons. Which is perhaps the scope of a more enhanced or longer play video that we're going to make at some point very soon. But this is, of course, a material that's believed to help calm and balance emotions, as you would expect. It's also deeply linked to your intuition and our psychic abilities, again, very Wormwood-esque in that regard. But it can also enhance healing properties. And if we think about its purifying qualities and its antibacterial abilities, it's probably why it's often used on healing wounds.
And also, it works with our immune system. It's very... it kind of recharges our
recharges. So yeah, I think that these are some of the really good reasons that we're certainly doing quite a high intensity dose of colloidal silver at this time. And most of all, I like the idea of my system being lit up on the inside by a silver network. I kind of get a bit of a kick out of that, thinking that my whole body could be running on some sort of silver-based system.
Let's remember that ancient Egyptians and Sumerians, they used monatomic gold to live longer, be healthier, be more aware, more spiritually awake. And I think silver has very similar properties, especially when it comes to healing. So I think we're going to find out amazing things about silver moving forward. And that is one of the reasons that is going to raise the price of silver even more, which is going to bring a whole new, different financial system, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that the rebalancing of yin and yang, gold and silver, masculine and feminine is all part of the same story. And that's why silver, we can almost say the the earthly manifestation of this beautiful goddess spirit is absolutely necessary in our world, but it has to be in a place of parity, as indeed it does everything in our world. That full moon in Libra is really pointing us towards that. But the last few things I just want to bring into the mix, just to leave with people as an idea that they can perhaps dive into deeper themselves, is that this material, the energy of silver, helps attune our energy field to the silver thread network, which of course is very much linked to the great mother spider and the weavers. And so we have this ability when working with the silver thread network to be consciously working with the energy of mother spider, of the crone, of the wise old woman, to weave the coherent threads of the new earth timeline that we are all creating together for ourselves. I think silver is very much a potentiator for that, and perhaps that links to why it's of all of the elements, it has the highest level of electrical conductivity.
Yep.
Which I think is also something very important for the piezoelectric system that we're operating here, right?
Exactly.
And of course, it carries the quality of purity, which is probably also something we're needing now, purification of the energetic system, the physical system as well. So
exciting.
Yeah, so final just shout out, just putting this out into the realm of all of you plant medicine lovers, shamans and shamankas, people who like to work with sacred fungi or the sacred spirit of cannabis, Santa Maria. I'm offering just for this Wavespell also, a bit like with the healing that me and Bella are offering. If you book this course during this Wavespell, then I'm going to be offering a special 1 hour one-to-one mentoring session as part of that offer, which when you book this course, you will automatically get, and you can book with me as a way of assisting you to guide you really how to work better with plant medicine in accompaniment with the course, but also to take a look at where you are on your journey and perhaps make suggestions of plants or meditations that can help you get the best out of your plant medicine work. So please do email me directly if that's something you're interested in. So that basically is it for today, Bella. Do you want to give a quick share on the Heaven on Earth course?
The Heaven on Earth course is amazing if you want to learn to create your medicine wheel, to reconnect with all of the 4 elements, and to learn to be like a tree as well, to anchor the energy in yourself and align. So this course is also available on our platform if you're going to go into more of a shamanic journey with it.
Yeah, this course really just offers you the possibility to connect to your inner elemental energies and your inner dragons and bring your inner world to a place of balance and harmony, which in turn allows a much easier access to the heavenly conduits, thus creating heaven on earth within yourself and becoming the mobile nodal point. So I really enjoyed putting this course together. It's had great feedback, and that really is it for today. All right, Bella. So perhaps in conclusion, for today's episode of Quantum Compass, how do you want to wrap things up as a final thought?
I'd like to say be courageous and bring forward the healing that is needed, the pain, something that is still painful within you. It could be a memory, it could be a conflict or a pattern that you keep on seeing that repeats in your life. Bring it forward for final resolution and surrender to that process, because the more of us that do it, the more that we'll see the changes on the outside. It's until many of us, or enough of us, a critical mass, have done the inner work that we'll see the changes reflect on our reality. So what lessons have these things taught you? See the positive side of what happened to you as the learning, so that we can alchemize and move forward.
Right, aho to that. And so as we move into this critical healing wave spell, I just want to wish all of our brothers and sisters, our viewers out there, a happy time moving forwards. Try to stay centered and grounded, take joy from simple things in life, try to laugh as much as possible. Me and Bella joke around all day and try to keep our vibes high by having fun with whatever comes to hand, really, and enjoying the moment for what it offers us. And remember that in universal time, every day has the potentiality of an adventure.
And look at the perfection of the timing and everything we're doing. Tomorrow is the day of resurrection, the rebirth. And this is where the blue hand comes, offering us that possibility of a new way of being, of a new of a rebirth for each one of us, and even for the whole collective. We all want to live better lives, so this is a way to do it, to walk through that difficult path and make it to the other side. We're walking through the pain and seeing the other side of it.
Right, and of course, for all of you out there maybe going through this in a more isolated or more solitary state, please do remember that we have a fully active tribe where you can come and share and get involved. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of very wise people in our tribe. Many have done many journeys with us, understand what it is that we're working with in terms of reclaiming time. But most of all, there's a lot of love and support for people who are going through it. And we've all needed each other at various points over the last few years. So just again, inviting those of you who've not taken that step into the inner workings of our tribe, it's very simple. Just head over to the website and join up. It takes about 20 seconds and it's free. And so that's it really, everybody, for today. In Lakesh, I am another you. We'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.